Hey everybody, my name is Daniel the Nerd. My voice is completely shot today, so I apologize in advance. And there's also a thunderstorm in the background, so sorry if you hear that. Now that all of my apologies are out of the way, let's get right into the video. Now, as I'm sure many of you know, I live in the great state of Wyoming, and today I'm going to be going over the top 5 best and top 5 worst things about living in the greatest state in America. So I think it's best if we start off with some of those positive vibes and talk about the top 5 best things about living in Wyoming. The first one we're going to talk about is probably the one that anyone who's ever heard of Wyoming knows about, and that is the nature. Wyoming is home to 3 national parks or monuments that are significant landmarks or places in America, and those are Devil's Tower, an extinct volcano that gets, I don't know the numbers, but lots and lots of tourists every year. There's Yellowstone National Park, a giant volcano that could potentially kill everybody on the planet, which gets even more people than Devil's Tower there. And then there's the Grand Teton National Park, which actually isn't a volcano, and instead is actually just a completely beautiful chain of mountains with a lake there called Jackson Hole that I'm sure you've probably heard of at some point in your life. The second item on my list is everything you can do outside here. We have really good fishing, really good hunting, we have horseback riding, we have places you can go ride four-wheelers around, we have places you can go riding on boats. Like, if you can think of something that you can do outside, there's a pretty good chance you'll find something to do here in Wyoming. We have a lot of people here who go fishing, hunting. A lot of people here own boats because we have a lot of reservoirs around here they can go boating on. Um, Anyone outside of city limits is pretty much guaranteed to own a horse. So pretty much everyone here has gone horseback riding at some point in their life. Um, so if you like outdoor activities, yeah, then you're gonna like Wyoming. And number 3 on our list, to some people maybe a pro, to some people maybe a con. To me, I consider it more of a pro, is the fact that it's pretty much all small towns here. And I consider that to be a pro because, we don't really have any traffic. Um, I honestly just don't like cities in general, so I don't really have to worry about feeling closed in and everything. And because of that, you're more likely to find the vast majority of people living in houses rather than apartments. Almost everyone has a decent sized yard, and the towns are also fairly spread out, and I think it gives pretty much the entire state and all the towns a bit of character compared to a bunch of places that are clumped together like New York or L.A. or something. I know L.A. is kind of spacious too, but I'm just using it as an example. So. And next up on our list is probably the food. Now, Wyoming is kind of a steak and potatoes sort of culinary cultural place. Um, we have a lot of hearty meals with they're like heavy on protein rather than lighter meals like salads and stuff. And if you're around here, don't be surprised if you go to a restaurant you can find like bison burgers. You can probably find some places that serve deer and stuff during certain seasons. And finding places that sell like deer jerky or something like that, it's not that uncommon around here. And because of that, if you come here and you are a meat eater, you're going to find all sorts of food that it's going to be very interesting to try. In fact, here's a little bit of a fun fact about Wyoming food. What are Rocky Mountain oysters? I'm going to give you 4 options. The answer will shock you. Oh my god, I sound really terrible saying that. Yep, the answer is B. Fried bull testicles. And I've had them before, they're actually really good. And no, by the way, that does not make me gay. They're actually really good, though, to be perfectly honest with you. You put them in gravy, or I can't remember what the other thing people put them in are, but yeah, Rocky Mountain oysters are probably one of the stranger consequences of just kind of the culture of steak and potatoes here in Wyoming. Like, we don't care what we eat, to be perfectly honest with you. And last one, I swear to God this isn't sponsored or anything. It's a restaurant called Taco John's. Basically, think of Taco Bell that's 5 times better without the diarrhea. But seriously though, this restaurant is based out of Cheyenne, so it's Wyoming based. I think it's in 12 states now, but it has its roots in Wyoming, and it's seriously like the best fast food restaurant of all time. I swear to God, not sponsored, okay? And now let's go and get on to the negatives of living in Wyoming. Which, by the way, the positives I think outweigh the negatives. So I promise I won't do that again. Okay, first of all, our towns here are super far apart. Like, seriously, the town I live in is along one of the interstates, and it's seriously 40 miles in either direction to any other decently sized town. I'm not joking. Like, it's so isolated here that I'm sure, like, other towns, if you wanted to be like, oh, let's go to the next town over and go eat at a restaurant over there. Well, if I wanted to do that, it would be well over an hour drive. Next up is probably by far the worst part about living in Wyoming, and it's the weather. We have a saying around here. We have two seasons: winter and road construction. Even though if you're not in the cities, it's just winter and summer. We don't really have spring and fall. We have pseudo winter twice. And the summer we do have is like 2 months long. Then the rest of the year it's either pseudo summer or winter. During winter, a lot of the times it's colder here than the North Pole. We have snow pretty much all winter, and it's pretty much impossible to drive. And no, they don't cancel school. Once it was negative 50 degrees outside without wind chill, and they still didn't cancel school. And basically, if the buses won't start up, that's the only reason they ever cancel it. And they just upgraded the buses. And with these pseudo winter and pseudo summer, whatever, basically every other day it's either blazing hot or it's completely frozen. And next up is the nature. I know this was a positive, but there's kind of a polar opposite here because only half the states is beautiful forests and mountains. The other half the states are this. Yeah, that's not exactly pretty to look at. Next up, I guess it's kind of a consequence of having only small towns. There's not really much to do here, with the exception of like fishing and hunting and all that, but most that's only seasonal. We don't. I think there's a whole 2 malls in the entire state. So there's not much for shopping or anything like that. A lot of the big stores and stuff are set up in two of the towns, if at all. And most of the time, there's just not much going around because there's not enough people to really bring too much business in. So, there's nothing to do here. And possibly one of the worst things about living in Wyoming is it seems like a lot of the times whenever I say I live in Wyoming, people automatically assume like, oh, isn't that where Brokeback Mountain takes place? No, that's Montana. Anyways, my name is Daniel the Nerd, and I will see you all next time.